Hi, it's MJ from Lioness Publications. This time we're going to sit down and we're going to look at Gavin Newsom. Few people have asked about him, and I was planning on doing him, but I wasn't sure if I was going to have time because usually right around the fall of this year is when I start doing presidential candidates. And I'm sure he's going to be one. So at that point, I wouldn't be doing any of his charts for public consumption because they'll go into my book. But I had some time today and I said, you know what? I have a chart that I made on July 5th. So I said, why don't we take a quick look at it so you get an idea of sort of who he is. So we have the transits, we have the progressions, and we have the solar arc. And we're not going to spend too much time on this because he's not really a candidate right now. It's nothing, there are his battles with with Trump and stuff, but overall it's sort of quiet in that he's managing, California and all that kind of stuff. So first, let's take a look at where his Venus is. His Venus is in Virgo. Venus in Virgo is very discriminating. They tend to dress well. They're very picky about things, very analytical. It can be in any type of relationships, things like that. He has his sun in Libra, which is a justice sign. It's also a sign that usually needs to put ideas back and forth. So they usually like to ask for group opinions and sort of delve into things so they can get as much input as possible. And Kamala Harris also has a sun in Libra. So she was very much like that too, trying to get a consensus, trying to get more ideas from people. Now, he also has Mars in Sagittarius, which is, it's fire sign, so it's going to have some endurance, which is good. And he has Mercury in Scorpio. Oh, that biting tongue. That's where it comes from. Scorpio, you have to watch out for that stinger. So let's take a look at what's happening transit-wise. That just sort of gives you a little bit of idea of his personality. And just as a note, let me just take one look at something here. Okay, now his Mercury and his Neptune are not square. Usually if you have a Neptune and Mercury square, it can result in someone that lies, like Trump. Okay, his is only about 10 degrees apart, so he may have some visionary type thoughts, but probably not a liar. So let's take a look at what's happening right now to him. We have Pluto and Neptune actually in a sextile. And if anyone right now has anything right around the beginning degrees of Virgo, you're going to be feeling that. So what's happening is Pluto is making an inconjunct to his Venus, and Neptune is also making that inconjunct. And that'll be going on and off for a while. Now, that's going to, since it's on Venus, and it's an inconjunct, which is a difficult angle, it means that typically relationships need to be adjusted somehow. Now, in this case, since he's probably going to be running for political office, the relationships are probably going to need to be his relationship to the public. So he's going to have to start building up his character, how he wants to appear to people. Now, this type of angle can, since Neptune is involved, it can sometimes cause some fogginess. And with Pluto, there's destruction. So look at it, he's going to be maybe testing out different ways of appealing to people before he actually gets into the time when the race is actively on. So he's sort of going to reinvent himself for the public stage. Now, there may also be some confusion in his time, so I'm not sure who's advising him. But again, you could see different styles coming from him. different ways of relating to, let's say, GOP people. Now let's take a look at the next one here, which is Jupiter is squaring Saturn. It's going to be a relatively short-lived square. And in this one, you've got sort of a tug-of-war where Saturn wants to just be very disciplined, sort of stay where they are, very cautious growth. And Jupiter is like, let's go, let's do everything. So at this stage, he may be trying to determine how to go about the campaign, maybe even talking to people about, what to do. But it's a point where he's trying to expand, but also hold back. And that's difficult. Now, that's what we have in this chart. So there's not much going on. But if he decides to run, you'll see his chart liven right up. Probably, the end of 2026. Because beginning of 2027, they need to be out there raising money and getting, backers. And then as it moves until late 2027, you start looking into debates. You have to have all the issues down. And then the primaries in 2028, and then convention time. So let's take a look at what our progression is. And I thought this was sort of interesting. We have Venus here on conjuncting the South Node. And South Node can be very fate, karmic oriented. And this actually occurred already pretty much last year. And when I look at Venus with South Node, I'm looking at maybe harmony over honesty. And if you think what this is going to relate to, is it going to relate to what happened last year with Biden? He will take a lot of heat because he was saying Biden should keep on going. He could keep on running. And personally, this is my opinion. It's not the opinion here. If Biden wasn't fit to run, he shouldn't have been set up to go alone. Even back earlier, when Biden announced, other people should have stepped in. He was too old. Not that his mind is bad. It's just his mind giving out to the outside world didn't work very well. So his mind could be perfectly fine, but sometimes expressing yourself changes. That's my personal opinion, okay? But what I'm seeing here is that times out to when Biden decided not to run. And he knew he was losing a chance to run because it was being handed on a plate, literally, to Kamala Harris. Now, whether that's right or wrong, you can argue about. But what had happened to him is he got the short end of the stick. If he ran, maybe he would have been president. So something to consider. And this is showing up in his progression. So it is showing up that he had a loss. So if you think about it, he was never destined to win. Okay? He was destined to have, in effect, this thing happen. Fate happened to him. Now let's take a look at the next thing here. And it's Mars, Inc. Venus. Now we had the Venus already in the transits being hit. Here we've got it hit by Mars. So again, we're going to have to be focusing in on his outward demeanor, how he relates to people. So this is moving into position to take on, in effect, the election. Now, it could also during this time make him very combative. Again, trying all different styles to see what's going to work in engaging with people. So now let's take a look at the solar arc. And in this case, what we have is, first, Jupiter is in conjunct to wounded warrior. Jupiter expands, expanding our wounded warrior, all our hurts, all our fears, our wounds. Yeah. Tough period. It's not quite here yet. It will be. But it's something he's going to have to face to be able to get around them. So Jupiter is going to expand this, so giving him a chance to, in effect, work through them. And that's what the wounded warrior is, a wound. We have to learn how to protect it, but also be able to move ahead while we have this wound. Okay. Now, the next thing we have is Uranus conjuncting Neptune. Now this actually happened about 2 years ago. So what is this? Change, confusion, sort of like a lightning strike. What happened about 2 years ago? Biden decided to run again for president. So in this case, this was, I think, something that many of possible contenders didn't really think would happen. I vaguely remember that Biden said he would only do one term. And everyone was waiting for what Biden would decide. But I was like, well, I guess, he decided that wasn't worth it. And when I looked at the charts, I'm saying, well, no, he's okay. But in Gavin's case, and a lot of the other contenders, this was definitely a lightning strike, like, oh, I have to wait another 4 years. And then it's like, well, maybe we won't have elections in 4 years. So the last thing we have here is Neptune trine Pluto. So in this case, Neptune is what? Idealism. Pluto is our foundation. This is going to be happening in about a year. And it really plays into him moving ahead to be center stage here. He's going to move ahead and bring some type of vision that can hit everyone, that can just be relatable. And he has to get that set up before he starts running. He has to make that his trademark. And that's what he's going to be doing. So starting next year, again, you're going to have to listen and see, what is he coming up with? What stage is he in here? He's going to have to get his outside all burnished up. Although, with the Virgo, he's always going to be just a great dresser. Always. You're not going to see this guy sloppy. Not with Virgo. Never. But he needs to get his vision intact. He needs to get his way of interacting with people intact. And that's what he's going to be doing. So this is not life-shattering, anything I said here. But it does give you an idea that, yeah, he's got some work to do. But he's definitely going to be a contender coming up, on the next election, if we're having one. Anyway, have a great day, and thank you for watching. Bye now.